start attacking the body. Because when you think about autoimmune conditions, it's really the same thing. It's just happening at a different place. If it's Hashimoto's, it's happening in the thyroid, okay? If it's lupus, it's happening in the blood. You understand? If it's multiple sclerosis, it's happening in the nervous system. You understand? If it's rheumatoid arthritis, it's happening in the joints. But every place that is happening, the same thing is happening. The body is building antibodies against itself, okay? And that's where the issue lies, because that is going to cause inflammation. Inflammation is going to cause pain, and it's going to trigger symptoms in your body, okay? So reducing the inflammation does reduce symptoms, and, killing your immune system with steroids and things of that nature does remove the some of the time your immune system, but then it makes you more predisposed to getting infections. You understand? So it's a slippery slope to go down. But the reason why they say that you can't reverse an autoimmune condition is because there's nothing that they put in our tool belts when we go through school that says that we can help you. You understand? So there's nothing in the arsenal in modern medicine to help anybody with an autoimmune condition, okay? Again, using anti-inflammatories will help alleviate some of the symptoms, suppressing the immune system. That's the other side of it, but that is not the answer. So you have to understand, that's why I always tell people, if you go back to the source, you have to check the source of what's the cause of an autoimmune condition. And if you go back to the source and start working backwards from there, okay, it started here, now work backwards. Now you can start getting some true answers. Now you can start getting some real healing. Now you can start actually reversing the condition. So that's sort of my explanation when it comes to autoimmune condition. There are a host of conditions that when you go in the hospital, they may give you the diagnosis, but there's actually no real treatment for it. You understand? So anytime they say it's idiosyncratic or syndrome, it just means that we don't know what the hell that is. That's just smart talk for, I don't know what that is. So, yeah, get off my soapbox. I highly recommend only eating seasonal fruits and vegetables during the 28-day detox. I didn't see your question, Keife, about leaky gut. Yeah, and again, it doesn't matter what autoimmune condition it is. Again, it could be Hashimoto's, it can be lupus, it can be MS, it could be sarcoidosis, it could be psoriasis, it could be rheumatoid arthritis. But it's the same thing happening at a different place in the body. With sarcoidosis, it's happening on the skin. With psoriasis, it's happening on the skin. You understand? With Hashimoto's, it's happening in the thyroid. And I know I oversimplify things, especially when, I'm not experiencing them, but I'm just telling you in my experience, in my personal experience and working with people, and also, working side by side with other holistic healers, and hearing the experience of people who've actually had autoimmune conditions and were able to put the symptoms in remission. It always starts with the same thing. So if you want to do that. Listen, and I'm going to get off my soapbox after I say this. We have a healthcare system that is based on sickness. And what I mean by that is if you go into the hospital, a lot of times people go in the hospital, they run the labs, they come back, something's wrong with you. You may even be throwing up, but the labs come back normal. They can't do anything for you. They usually send you home and say, come back if it gets worse, okay? So our healthcare system is based on sickness. So we got a healthcare system that's based on sickness. We have a drug industry that isn't based on cures. We have a food industry that isn't based on nutrition. That's a recipe for disaster when it comes to health. And especially when you lean on them for their knowledge and for, peace of mind and for solutions. None of it is based on the results that you want, you understand? And so that's the discovery that I had to go through, and understanding like, okay, all these medications, we have thousands of medications, none of them actually cure anybody. And that's you got to understand, like, I went to school to become a pharmacist, like, and to find out, like, while I'm practicing, like, oh, none of this actually cures anybody. It's just treating. And there's a big difference. Like, that was the first time I learned the difference between treatment and curing. Like, I never thought like there was a difference. I thought like treating was curing because I thought removing the symptoms was removing the problem. But I discovered removing the symptoms isn't removing the problem at all. Essentially what it's doing is masking the problem. The problem is still wreaking havoc in the body. So you have to understand that when you look at the whole picture of what health is made of, healthcare system based on sick care, you have to be sick to go to the doctor. If you're not sick, they can't help you. All right. A drug industry that isn't based on cures, it's just based on treatment. And a food industry that isn't based on nourishment. Like, that's a recipe for disaster. So it's very easy to see why we are where we are in our health in America. Like, that's why America is the sickest country in the world, despite the fact that we spend more money on healthcare than any other country in the world. So okay. She said kids that had cradle cap or psoriasis since infancy, they have leaky gut. You have to understand a lot of times if you attach, like for instance, make this very simple. Like a lot of times we're just labeling diseases, but the label really doesn't mean a whole lot. Meaning when I see mucus coming up, and when I see dandruff, and when I see yeast infection, I see the same thing. I don't need to put a name on it. But a lot of times what happens is when we label a disease, we label it based on the symptoms. Meaning if the symptoms of the disease are the same, then we'll say, okay, that's an autoimmune condition. It's the same thing I was saying with, autoimmune conditions. Just because it's in the thyroid and they call it Hashimoto's, it's still autoimmunity. The issue is autoimmunity, but that's not the real issue. Just because the autoimmunity is in the knee, it's not different from the autoimmunity that's in the thyroid. The same thing is happening. It's just what happens with autoimmunity, it attacks the area of the body that is the weakest. You understand? And a lot of times what people are experiencing, what they think is disease, is actually part of the healing process, okay? So a lot of times when you get a yeast infection or you start to create dandruff or you start to have sinus, like mucus coming out of your sinus, that is part of your healing process. That's part of your body trying to get rid of whatever it is that was causing the issue. So a lot of times what I tell people, especially like small babies, infant babies, who start to have like eczema, and it gets so bad that it becomes psoriasis. A lot of times what I tell people is stop giving them milk. Stop giving them formula. You understand? It's toxic to the baby. There's nowhere in nature you will find another animal that drinks the milk of another animal. We're the only species of animal that does that. As a matter of fact, no animals drink milk after infancy, meaning you will never see a cow drink, like a grown cow drink another cow's milk. They don't do that. You'll never see a gorilla drink a goat's milk. You'll never see that. So you have to understand, like, it has implications when we do that. Kids shouldn't be drinking milk. I'm just telling, I know that's a common practice. I know that my mother even probably gave me milk. But guess what? I had asthma. I not only had asthma, I had pneumonic asthma. I had really bad asthma growing up. You understand? And what was really funny was I stopped drinking milk. I don't know why I stopped drinking milk. I just decided I was going to stop drinking milk. And I stopped having asthma issues. And I do that with all parents. Parents whose babies are having psoriasis around the ears, around the head, on the skin, eczema. Parents who are having, kids are having a lot of ear infections, because guess what? When you're drinking that milk, guess what it does? It runs off the side of their face and goes into the ear. Okay? And so what I'm saying to you is the body will try to get rid of it because it's not supposed to be there in the first place. And if you think about the fact that a lot of them are drinking formula, and they call it formula for a reason. A lot of it is soy. A lot of it is a lot of sugar. That's deadly for a baby. A baby shouldn't be drinking formula. A baby shouldn't be drinking milk. So the reason why you see a lot of babies having these issues now is because not only is the milk itself more dangerous than it was when we were kids and our grandparents were kids, because those animals are now getting hormones, antibiotics. Those animals are now, as a result, getting fed soy. Cows aren't eating grass anymore. You understand? And so they get sick. Their stomachs can't take genetically modified soy. So not only is the baby consuming milk that it shouldn't be having, but it's consuming milk that is infected milk. Milk that when it comes out, it looks like pus, because it is pus, because the teats are infected. So what I'm explaining to you is, from the beginning of coming out of the womb, we're giving our children things that we shouldn't be giving them because we think that they're healthy, but they're not. They're not healthy. And so, that's my explanation. And so a lot of times when it comes out and the doctor will say, hey, that's psoriasis, for me, that's just the body trying to get rid of it. And a lot of times you have to think about, like, milk is acidic when it comes out. The body is trying to rid itself of acidity and mucus. And when acids come out of the skin, especially baby skin, because it's very porous and it's very soft, that acid comes out, it burns the skin. Of course, it's going to look like eczema. Of course, it's going to look like psoriasis, because you're ridding the body of acid. You understand? So, I don't want to make it seem like parents are doing a poor job because they're using formula or they're giving their babies milk, because I know this is tradition. I'm just saying that tradition, we have to move away from it. It's not healthy for us. And what I've seen, when parents move away from the formula, they move away from the milk, and if they can, they breastfeed or they use natural alternatives, all those issues, they go away. So, hope that helps. It doesn't matter if it's organic milk. I mean, just think about it. If you can find me another animal in the world that drinks another animal's milk, please allow me to re-educate myself. If you could find me another animal that as an adult drinks its mother's milk, you'll never find it. It just doesn't happen. And I can tell you, animals are actually way more intelligent when it comes to deciding what to eat and what not to eat. If an animal, let's say an animal has a vitamin deficiency, and let's say that vitamin deficiency is vitamin D, and you have a food over here that has a lot of vitamin C in it, and a food over here that doesn't have that much, it's always going to choose the food that has the higher vitamin D in it. If you set out bread that is genetically modified, that is white, that has no fiber in it, that has no nutrition in it, and you set that bread out, you open it up, and you put that bread in front of roaches galore, no roaches will go and eat that bread. So you see what I'm saying? Like, a really great way to kind of understand nutrition is to watch animals. And you'll never see animals eat multiple varieties of food. They don't need 40 different types of food to eat. You understand? And so, I would really implore you to sort of start, making a transition back to nature in terms of, our thinking when it comes to what we should and shouldn't be eating. Okay? All right, cool. So I'm gonna use the last couple of minutes on here to talk to you guys about my membership program. I know Tashanya had asked about it earlier, and I didn't get an opportunity to talk about it. So I'm gonna talk to you about my tribe membership program. So I've been doing my group detox now since 2018, I believe. And the group detox is essentially a 30-day detox that we all do together, okay? And essentially what we're doing during the group detox is everybody's doing the herbal detox from my website. And they're also eating according to the meal plan or the set of foods that I have them eat. They're getting educated. We're interacting in the group. We basically become a family over that next 30 days within the group detox, okay? And so after every group detox that we do every 3 to 4 months, it would never cease to amaze me. Like a couple of days before the detox, people would start asking like, what am I going to be doing? What I'm going to do now that the group detox experience is over? And I never really had an answer to that. Like I never knew what to do. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll see you guys in the next group detox in 3 to 4 months. But people were, really excited about learning. I come in there and I teach them specific things twice a week. People were really excited about the things that I'll post in the group. People were excited about the camaraderie. People were excited about the diversity in the group because you would have people in there who are chefs, people who have done the group detox 5 or 6 times versus people being their first time. And so started building a family. And so all of these people started asking me if I would start some type of membership program. And so I did. And I started that beginning in January. Now, in January, what I decided to do, because I didn't know really what I wanted it to be or what they wanted it to be, was I was going to only offer it to people who were in the January detox. So if you were in the January detox, you probably know that. But what I decided to do was I opened up the program, and within the program, they have core material where I teach you how to transition, what to eat, that sort of thing. We also had monthly master classes. So I come in there and do a monthly master class. And then I also had things like Shop with Doc, where I teach you how to shop. Also had Q&A. So like, I know a lot of you guys ask me a lot of questions on here and that I'm not able to get to. So we do a 1-hour Q&A inside of the membership program. And it's called Tribe Healing Community, or THC. So I'll be talking more about that tomorrow. My live is about to cut off here in about a minute, but I just wanted to introduce you guys to it a little bit. And then tomorrow we could talk a little bit more in depth about it for you guys who are interested. So I have to jump off. I know it's questions on here that I can't get to, but I do ship to the UK, that sort of thing. But we're gonna go ahead and end today. And I'll come in here again tomorrow at 4 p.m. So tomorrow at Friday, which is Friday, I'll be back in here at 4 p.m. So peace and blessings to you guys. I hope this was useful, educating, and empowering. And until the next time, stay blessed, man. And don't worry, be happy.